A couple of thoughts coming into my mind. The journey of the Eastern wisdom is the simplest, easiest, if and only if we have 100% trust in the principles passed on to us by the teachers. Then why you talk so much? That is the question. Because the mind does not have a trust. For a seeker, the trust in these principles is required. Nothing else, to tell you frankly. But for a teacher, he has to put the logic and reasoning in order to convince the mind to remove the doubts, so that the ignorance will be removed. Only trust is required from a point of view of a seeker. You don't need anything. That is the meaning that, I have understood intellectually, but then again, Havini was crazy. What do you think? I should not react. Trust is gone. I can give you 1,000,000 examples that we encounter every day, subconsciously. We do not react outside, but we are burning inside. That trust deficit on these principles is required. I'm taking you to a very subtler level of knowledge. You trust, this is my home, this is my car, this is my phone, this is my... But we don't have that trust. So the teacher goes on speaking by asking the question and then answering it, asking the question and answering, so that your mind one day reaches to a point of a trust. It is done. You are already there. You don't need any practice. That trust deficit is there, and that is where it is. It is in my mind. I can give you hundreds of examples. You wake up in the morning and you feel the body has a pain. You don't recognize I am not the body. Trust deficit. Nothing else. You have created an image about your honey, and honey says something, and the reaction is there already in the mind. Trust deficit. No, I don't say that you don't trust your honey, but trust deficit in these principles. And you are missing it. You are listening to some talk, maybe mine, and the mind internally reacts, is it possible? Not possible. So your face expression tells me the story. So because the trust deficit is very high, you need to practice. You are at least, or you can say that you are the lowest level of a seeker. And 50-50, then you are, obviously, then you have to do the practice, and ultimately, and if you are the highest level of a seeker, no practice is required, only understanding is required. Only understanding is required, my friends. Understand that. Yeah, it took me also 10 years to reach to that trust deficit with my master. But I constantly fought with my mind. why the master is saying this and why it is not possible with me. Constant struggle was there in my mind. Master says this, it must be true. But how it is not true to me? And what is your struggle? You already know it. So that further destroys that trust. Only understanding and the knowledge is required. You understand it the way we understand some scientific principles, the same way you understand it, and it is done. You are always in mindfulness 24/7. I know, and you already know that we are studying Panchadashi, one of the most beautiful texts, and I told you the first 18 verses summarizes the entire journey, and then we go on. Then he elaborates and explains in another 220, 30, 230 or 240 verses. And it only demands an understanding. Now, understand that in order to have that trust, the master explains the four connections. Your mind must return to these principles and think of what exactly is the subject matter, what exactly is the topic we are talking about. We are talking about who am I? That is what? Do you trust your false I? Or do you want to know who am I? Now, see, as a teacher, I'm coming. So I'm asking the question myself and I'm answering for you. You see how the teacher teaches in Eastern wisdom. It's neither a teaching, it's not passing on the information. It is just helping the mind to remove the doubt. So now, as long as your mind does not raise a doubt that I do not know who am I, that is why I am suffering, nothing will be done. And the moment you raise a doubt, the intellect passes on the knowledge that this is what he is talking about, that I am the real self. And then your mind says, oh, that is why I am suffering. So I am suffering because of the false line. Tell me how many of you are thinking along that line. That will prove your trust deficit. No, everything is okay. What you are saying is right, but my dad is crazy. You are already done with. Then you don't have a smile, you have a sad face, you are ready to react. Are you understanding? That mind is required. That is why we say we need to purify the mind. Now I'm bringing in all these principles together. Oh, now everything is okay. You are very good, but my dad is crazy. With whom you lived since your birth? You still have that wrong notion present in your mind? What kind of a person you are? No, I'm not asking you. Masters are asking you. Bear with me. No, our masters are asking. So I'm talking today so that at least you can appreciate, oh, the beauty of the Eastern wisdom. So subject matter is one. Now the second, he says that what exactly is the goal? Do you know the goal of the Eastern wisdom? End of suffering and awakening to permanent peace and happiness. Who is not seeking peace and happiness in their life? Are you seeking it consciously? Are you seeking it with reference to the world, or are you seeking the peace and happiness within you? You see, teacher has to put the logic in order to remove it. Are you understanding that point? The second point, the goal. Am I seeking peace and happiness which is present in me, or am I seeking the peace and happiness by desiring something other than me in the world? So I'm opening the goal. Goal of the Eastern wisdom is this: simply saying end of suffering and awakening to peace and happiness and love within does not serve the purpose for a seeker who has a trust deficit. So I explained it. And the teacher should go on explaining on this point until the mind removes the doubt. That is why there should be a continuity of listening and learning from a teacher. Now I learn with a total focus, and after the session, all focus goes away. Trust deficit. Simple. Third. So the subject matter is one, the goal is the second. I have already explained you from that reference. Third point is that who is following the subject matter and who wants to achieve the goal? Who? That is a seeker. So seeker has the categories. You are the lowest level of a seeker, you are a mediocre seeker, you are the highest level of a seeker. So is it possible to become the highest level of a seeker? Every human being can become the highest level of a seeker. So what are the factors? Discernment, dispassion, six treasures of the mind I have talked in detail, and ultimately the intense. I have an intense desire to know who am I to reach to the goal that I have just explained that will serve the purpose. Many, I can tell you, many masters have not studied any of these texts. They had an intense desire since birth that I want to know. My mind is constantly seeking peace and happiness and love, then where it is. And they have reached to that goal. They were totally illiterate. So once I am a seeker, that is one. For whom the Eastern wisdom is for a seeker. What is the subject matter? You are clear. What is the goal? And now you constantly contemplate and reflect on these three in order to connect these three dots. As a seeker, I connect to the subject matter. As a seeker, I connect to the goal. I connect the subject matter with the goal. When? 24/7. Living your personal life, professional life, social life, family life. You may have an extreme difficulties outside in the world, but nothing can stand before that intense desire of a seeker. So once we understand that, the entire picture is there in our mind, then this metaphor works very intensely. We have been discussing about the metaphor, the canvas is pure consciousness. Causal stage is causal stage is the start, and that triggers creates a subtle stage that is the mind, the sketch, and ultimately on that sketch, the colors are filled up so the painting is created. In the mind itself, the world is created. This world is absent at the level of the canvas, at the level of the pure consciousness. Why we say it is pure consciousness? Because the world does not reach there. It is not the part, property, and product of anything in the world. And because it is eternal, it is non-changing entity. It is consciousness, it is existence, it is peace, it is happiness, it is love and wisdom. I believe you as long as you speak, and after that I have a lot of problem. I have to address a lot of problems. So these metaphors. So the master then asked that how to attain that self-knowledge by listening, by contemplation and reflection, and by by moving into the state of meditation. So we have taken the three aspects of this entire metaphor. The first is the pure consciousness. Second is the subtle stage, the subtle mind. That is the reflected consciousness. If you compare the sun with the pure consciousness, and you can compare the subtle stage, that is the mind, with the moonlight. Moonlight is borrowed. And that moonlight, that reflected consciousness or that mind creates its own world, which we say the world of suffering, world of relationship. It creates the world and then it lives into it. The way the spider takes out the thread from itself, it creates, and sometimes the spider also get caught into this web. That is our state. That is what is happening to us. We are caught in our own world that we have created for the sake of peace and happiness, and we are caught in. Can I give you some expressions? My dad is not listening, he is always crazy. Or you can say, I am crazy, but he always guides me, but my mind does not listen to me. Look at this. This is the world we have created for ourselves. We are that spider who created the web and caught into it. And that is what Master says, it is a false. This is the false eye. This is the false eye. Think, please, you have been so long with me, so I believe that you should be able to, you should contemplate and reflect. The moment you start contemplating and reflecting with the knowledge and the mind, the trust deficit goes away and you know what is the best to be done. Now you're talking of the kindness. Many people ask me, you're talking of the kindness and the humility. If a criminal enters the door, I said, you will first reach to that state. Let the criminal enter. You know how to deal with it. You live in a very higher awareness than the criminal. You know how to respond in that situation. Don't create a hypothetical situation. And then this master clearly says that when you claim you are a jiva, jiva means an individual. An individual means it is your conscious mind, nothing more than that. There is no entity as if I is there. It's a conscious mind. Are you listening to me? Ask yourself, who is this I who is listening to me? It's the conscious mind. There is no I. We have created a false I. Just here and now. Think of it. Now I am experiencing the pain in the knee. Who is this I? Who is this I? Mind is experiencing the pain. You are aware of it. There is no I. Where is that? So our master declares that when you think of an individual, when you use the word I, that I is the is the is the is your body senses, some stimulation, some past experiences, some memory, some thought. They go together, and which is known as the I. Fact is that there is no I. My master used to point out, oh, where is your body? Here it is. No, this is your forehead. This is your cheek. Where is the body? Tell me. There is no body. Anything that is false is a part, product, and a property. Anything that cannot be the part, property, and product is my real self. Why it is the real self? Because since birth, I have been using the I that remain the same. Whether you become 80 years old, you are still I. You were born 5 years old, you are still I. So there is a struggle between the two I. One I that does not exist and one I that permanently exists. That is the journey. Look at it. That is only the journey. Again, return to the trust deficit. Because the trust, I have 100% trust on the false I, and I have a dwindling trust on the real I. The false I will continue to exist. Otherwise, I cannot do any transaction in the world. It has to exist simultaneously. So I cannot physically separate it. I have to separate in my knowledge, in my understanding. With awareness. That is why the mindfulness is, that is why the meditation. So that is why Master says discernment, separate, where to separate in the mind, what to separate, who am I, or you can say what I am not and what I am. By logic, by understanding, you are very clear that as such there is no body. Body is purely a hypothetical thought in the mind. Same way, there is a false I which does not exist, and still we have to use it for our transactions all the time. There is no husband, there is no wife. There is a man first, then there is a husband, there is a woman, then there is a wife. Have you seen that there is always a fight between husband and wife? There is no fight between man and women. When I talk to you, you consider me as a man. So there is no problem. Now relate it, superimpose, and then there is a problem. We don't have any trust deficit. This is neighbor's home, this is my home. You think of it, that is the way the mind is working. And that is why we have a problem. We can solve the physical problem. We are not solving the existential problem. So the master says the negation, word negation. You negate what you are not. So that negation is not a reactive step. That negation is not fighting with. You recognize, you realize, you accept what I am not. That is negation. Where it is happening in the mind. How it happens? It happens by knowledge. So how to arrive that knowledge? By discernment. But from the first point, if you don't have a clarity in the mind that constantly fires you with an idea that the false I is the real I, nothing will happen. Then nothing will happen. Many people say, no, you have done enough, you have talked enough, now give me the practice, I'm suffering. So you are not interested in understanding. That's how my journey continues, my profession continues. I'm very clear and straightforward. And I tell them also that you are asking me to give the practice, and half an hour of the talk has been wasted by your mind, not by you, because you are still with me. Okay, let us do the practice. It's only a matter of understanding. Understanding. Negation means that I understand, I recognize, I realize, and I drop in the mind or from the mind. This is the false I. And that false I, now see that another understanding, the false I negated it. So the master again puts the logic. I told you that the teacher, as a teacher of this profession, teacher has to study the science of logic. The way we have the way we have yoga, mantra, and different schools of thought in Indian philosophy, we have another section that is known as the science of logic. Those who wants to be a teacher, now it's very easy, 200 hours of training. Yeah, certified. So it takes a couple of months to understand, so that you are, what the logic that you are putting, that is in harmony, that goes in sequential way. So I have talked about the negation now, understand. So negation, you said false I. What is this false? How do I recognize what is false? You see, I follow the step by step. This is one way to approach it. What is false? Pay attention. The false has many definitions. First thing, whatever is changing is false. Can't you recognize your body is changing, your mind is changing, thoughts are changing, feelings are changing towards a person or a group? Yes. So whatever is changing is false. Second definition of the false. Look at the beauty, the way the masters have thought of it. Second definition, if I say the definition of the false, is that we cannot say it exists, or we cannot say it is non-existent. A beautiful way. Does body exist? Yesterday it was existence, it has changed a lot. How can I say it continues to exist the same way? We cannot confirm that it is existent and it is non-existent. How can I say the body is non-existent? Because I see it, I experience it, I feel all the sensations, I receive the input from the senses. Does the wave exist? No, I can't say. I can't confirm. The next moment it is gone. Same way. Can I say the body exists? Next moment, maybe the next session, you will hear that this beer guy, rest in peace, R.I.P. So that has to do with the false I. Two definitions. Now go to the third. That is where you pick up any definition and you reach to that state of, you remove the trust deficit. That anything that we see, we experience, does not have an independent existence is false. Body has an independent existence? No. Mind? No. Thought? No. Ego? No. It does not have any independent existence. The body is composed of, already modern science says, so many elements, carbohydrate, protein, and further break down those protein and carb. It does not have an independent existence. Fourth definition, this master has reached to the, you can say, the supra-intellectual understanding. Not supra-intellectual. I'm just conveying the masses that it has reached to the height of the intellect. The false that is always seen, but when you analyze, it is not there. It is not there. When you analyze it, I gave you an example already. Body, where is the body? This is your ears. Where is the body? Tell me. This is your forehead. Where is the body? Tell me. You analyze it. You will not find it. Where is the mind? Oh, it is here. Really? So do you feel your big toe? Yes, I feel the big toe. So mind is also there. Tell me where it is. Where it is, tell me. It is everywhere. But why didn't you recognize that it was in a big toe? Only when I told you, then you recognized it is also present there. Are you understanding? The full definition is remarkable. House. Where is the house? Where is the wave? Where is the wave? Where is the husband? Do you have a stamp on your head that which declares that you're a husband or you're a wife? For the sake of convenience, we are using it. It's for a transactional reality. Who am I not? Discernment, false, and then we define the four definitions of the false. The fourth one is remarkable. What is the fourth one? That is always seen, that is always experienced. But when you analyze, it does not exist. Body exists? No. Mind exists? No. Intellect exists? No. Ego exists? No. Pain exists? No. That's why I'm not worthy of suffering. Then who am I? I am pure consciousness. I am the real self. Finished. Journey is done. Close your eyes. I will check how many people join me next week. So eyes are closed. And so you see, are you settled, comfortably, or are you settled in the comfort? That is by understanding, not by the practice. So you recognize the threads of the mind that is scattered outside, looking for that does not exist. That discomfort does not exist. That is why you are settled in the comfort. You don't manage your discomfort. That is how the language we use in the world. Oh, let me do your meditation, after all, it gives me some peace or relaxation. Awareness, eyes are closed. You are looking at, and I made it so simple. First, you look at, for example, the neck joint. Looking is not doing anything. You are simply aware. In that awareness, you mentally see the neck joint. It's a part. You can further analyze. But before you analyze, when you are aware of the neck joint, you experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Do you see that? The neck joint is disappeared. Now you have an experience of sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Okay, go further. Because sensation also changes, comfort also changes, steadiness also changes. Then what is left is the space. The space is awareness, and awareness is the space. How simple it is. Did I do anything? No. I simply dropped what I am not. But how to understand what I am not? What I am not is mithya or false. I already gave you 4 definitions of mithya. Does your mind have 100% trust, or you have a trust deficit? That is the only point. That is the only point. Yes, sir. Shoulder joints, be there. You see that? I want to explain something a little subtler. So you look at the shoulder joints, your mind is already aware, it has a memory that body has different parts. On the same way, the mind is also divided all the time. So now it is aware of the shoulder joints. Then there is the next experience. All the experience are changing. That is also fast, but I continue to experience. So sensation, comfort, and steadiness is there. No issue. Let me experience it, but analyze it. Shoulder joint is gone. Now sensation, comfort, and steadiness has come. Now it is gone and replaced by the space, and the space is awareness, and awareness is the space. So when you keep that understanding, what constantly changes cannot be me. So you are breaking the ignorance, the false notion that I am the body by this being comfortable, which I normally say that, this is a step. Shoulder joint, we have done. Oh, pick up one more joint, maybe knee joint. So what happens when I say aware and look at the knee joints, your awareness and attention goes up. The master has to explain from every angle. Okay. Within that awareness, now I experience sensation, comfort, and steadiness. The mind can pay attention to one thing at one time. So you have a memory of knee joints, but now you have a conscious experience of sensation, comfort, and steadiness. And after that, there is a space, and space is awareness, and awareness is space. Trust deficit, you keep on hanging with your knee joint. That is the only problem. So that is why we need to purify the mind. The entire body. Now see, I told you, body does not exist. And still I'm saying entire body. So your mind says, yes, here is the body. You are aware. You have a sensation, comfort, and steadiness. You also see the space. In that space, you negate the body. And I already explained you negate the body through the knowledge. Negate means what I am not. Negating neighbor's house, it's not mine. Yes, I know it's a body. So what is that awareness? I am not the body. Second definition, third definition, or second, whichever you take it. That we cannot say it exists, we cannot say it does not exist. But what we say, it is false I. I am not the body. We need only knowledge and understanding, nothing else. No practice is required, my friends. Now let us go for this. I have been using be carefree. So let us pick up an understanding, contemplate and reflect with me. So the carefree means free from all the cares. That is carefree. So another put the question, who cares me mind? How it cares by thoughts, feeling, images, past, memories. Oh yes. But I recognize that they enter into the mind unwelcome, uninvited. When I'm meditating, they are rushing to me. Yes, they are rushing to me. Question is, what should I do? No, do nothing. Just remain aware of what? Remain aware that unwelcome, uninvited thoughts, feeling, experiences, memories return to the mind. They stay for a while and they leave. Another thought is replaced. Oh, so it is constantly changing. So, what I have understood the definition of mithya or the false? Oh, anything that is constantly changing is not me. That awareness is required. So even if you have the craziest of the thought enters into the mind, they are unwelcome, uninvited, because they are constantly changing. Hence, I cannot be there. I cannot be any one of them. I am not. So, I am not means I'm negating, but I'm negating by knowledge, by understanding. And you will discover when you have negated it by an understanding, the body remains totally steady, still. It doesn't, it doesn't, mind doesn't become crazy. You have already separated it. Want to go deeper? Yes, let us go deeper. Track number one, the name. So, like the highway has, for example, 3-lane highway. So, let us say the mind has a 3 highways. No, 3 lane. First lane, lane number one. What is that? Unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. What you are doing, if I ask you in terms of doing, you are listening to me, that is lane number 2. And the result that you experience is the lane number 3. All the 3 lanes are present in the mind. Do you know that all the 3 lanes are separate? In our highways, the same way 3 lanes are separate in the mind. Because the lane number 1 overpowers the lane number 2 because of the trust deficit. So you cannot reach to the lane number 3. You cannot recognize. It is already there. I'm trying to make you understand in a logical way. Every teacher has their own expression, but that is mostly a revelation. Lane number 1, unwelcome, uninvited thoughts, the experiences that I do not want, they are moving in a lane number 1. Lane number 2, you are listening to a teacher, you are listening to the knowledge. Why I should say teacher? You are opening up, you are removing the ignorance. You don't follow the teacher, you follow the knowledge. Lane number 3, you recognize that there is a peace and calmness. There is a joy inside. Don't ask the wrong question that lane number 2 will continue. First, recognize the lane number 3. Now, contemplation. These 3 lanes are interdependent and also independent. False eye, lane number 1. Now you ask that eye to sit in the lane number 2 and 3. You are already free. Even when you change your lane while driving, you don't care the moment you have changed the lane. No, but I care. Because I'm supra intelligent. I care my pain and I care my craziness and I care my reactions. Do you see what I'm saying? Simple, my friends. It is as simple as you can think of it. Imagine. So we pick up millions of the steps to keep the mind engaged, but here we are engaging the mind in awareness with knowledge. So I distinctly recognize lane number 1, 2, 3. Simply you recognize that recognition, that cognition, that cognitive ability to say, cognitive ability, so to say, in modern counseling, is the same thing, recognition. For recognition, you need not to practice anything. You recognize lane number 1, 2, 3. Lane number 1, unwanted, unwelcome thought, feeling, images, experiences. and also the experience of so called stress, suffering, pain, duality, conflict, anxiety, long list. Lane number two, you're listening to me, the knowledge. You're listening to the knowledge. That knowledge, that understanding is the lane number two. Lane number three is the outcome. So when you recognize all the three lanes, you can easily falsify what is already false. Lane number one. So you have falsified, you have negated it. By understanding, by lane number two, you jump into the lane number three. I'm making in a very different logic. To be absorbed by the mind, you are free. Negate means you recognize what I am not. So when you 100% recognize what I am not, if I say so, you silently jump into the lane number three. You already know now who am I. You know 100% that neighbor's house is not mine. So you enter casually into your home. But that recognition continues to be there. Neighbor's house is not going anywhere. Negation means you did not destroy it. So when we have a trust deficit, we want to control the mind, we want to regulate it, we want to suppress it. And the more we control and suppress, greater the reaction is, my friends. That is what I explained to you, that it is seen, it is experienced, but when you analyze, you don't find. I gave you examples. Wave is seen, you cannot deny it. So Eastern wisdom also doesn't deny it. Yes, it is seen. But we may analyze, we falsify. It is all water. Clay pot, yes, it is there. I see it. But when we analyze, we don't find a cup, clay pot. We find only a clay. That is why it is so challenging. That is why we say purified mind reaches to that state. Same with the body. Analyze the body. Body is not there. Analyze the mind. People have given crazy definitions. Mind is nothing but the thought, feeling, past, memory, images. You go on explaining the mind, you will never find it. Why? It is a reflected consciousness. You want to know the light coming from the moon. You cannot find the light coming definitely from the moon. It is coming from the sun. All my cognitions of my thought, feeling, images, problems, pain, suffering in the mind is reflected consciousness. It is a moonlight. No, this is me. Problem is there. This is not me. Negated. Should I speak? Your mind says, no, I am already clear. So when you are clear, what is that clarity and the knowledge? It is just an awareness. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms, know your experiences. Bring the hands down and we'll share our experiences. So, Stephen, how are you?
Good. Thank you. I always like the way that you present these principles and simplify them in a manner that at least I understand. This something this week. I was really focused in on something Terry said during the week about negation, and negating these false thoughts or whatever goes on in each one of us. And it really today was like this aha moment because I started looking at all our conversations and thinking about everything that we've been learning, and you and I, we've talked about this, the importance of the knowledge and whatnot along this journey. And it's clear that we've got these two consciousness, the two birds, that pure consciousness. And what I've started to do, and I've talked with Sam about this, is that always measuring what's going on about desire, ego, what's not true. And I started looking at myself in this split, bird one, bird two. And what I started thinking about is that every time I'm thinking and I spend my time up here in my mind, solely in my mind, and I stay up in my mind, I open myself up to feeding that reflective consciousness, that stuff that you don't want, the transactional world that has to coexist. And when I'm in moments of peace and happiness, I realize that I'm spending more of my time here.
That
And if I can contemplate and reflect properly, I can do it up here, but I'm still drawn here.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm using this negation in understanding, is it desire? Is it be ego? Is it is this truly happy, happiness, peace, happiness, love, truth, wisdom? And if it's none of that, I'm basically negating
Yeah,
it. And then I know that that's the transactional life that does have to exist, but I don't need to feed it.
I need not to feed it. What a beautiful way that you have put it. You also said that defeating, yes, but defeating is not by action or not by reaction, just by understanding. It is not.
Mhm.
It is not. That is the most beautiful. And you have a aha moment. The second point that we will understand that as we pass on this journey is that many masters says that in the beginning some people recognized and realized there is a thumb-like flame deep inside the cave of the heart is a symbolic expression of the real self. So you are right in pointing that every time you are drawn to the heart. So yes, that issue, that topic yet to come. Beautiful experience you shared. How are you, Sam?
Good. I was completely absorbed today. Um, Felt very peaceful.
Felt very peaceful. Keep on negating. Keep on talking to Stephen. Negating, yes. I'm also available all the time. Yes, yes. How are you, Brandy?
I'm good, thanks. I liked your example of the 3-lane highway. I spent most of my meditation in the second and third lanes. It helped me see, again, to Stephen's point, the negation of the first lane.
Yeah, yeah. You under that very clear understanding that we are not destroying the lane number one. So the moment we want our mind wants to destroy, it's a trust deficit. We did not understand it clearly. And that is what the modern science, modern psychology, and we also say. You are so much obsessed with the lane one that you want to destroy it, you want to suppress it. It is not possible. Now, through the understanding, I recognize by the four definitions of the false. Finished. Beautiful. How are you, Terry? We will come to Terry.
Um, I'm gonna have to listen to this lesson again.
Yes, that's a good idea.
A lot of it was, for some reason, this metaphor was difficult for me to understand. But
Okay.
I'm thinking about time, that it has to do with time because I liked the part about how things are, all the definitions of what is not. Things with parts, things are interrelated. Things like the wave, it only exists for a second, or it's in constant motion,
Yes.
so that it exists in this state for a second, this state for a second, this state. I was pondering a lot of stuff like that, and I got myself really confused. So,
That confusion is removed by the principles of the Eastern wisdom. That is the beauty.
Sometimes when I'm just not thinking at all,
Yeah.
I like that better.
You are lane number 3.
Okay.
How simple it is. Because that mind is not getting carried away by the objective reality of the chains, which is seen, but it does not exist. It appears as true, but it is not true. In that moment of silence or awareness, that is the lane number 3. Yes, listen to it and then we will. How are you, Vaibhav?
Sir, I'm good. I realized something that with ego, uh, all these experiences, ego keep on sticking to the experiences and thoughts that are going in my head.
Good.
But when my ego drops down, then it also gives me an ability to question on my own experiences.
Hmm.
That whatever I'm feeling, it gives me that ability, and then I can see that a thought by which I'm suffering, why no one else is suffering because of the same thought. No one's suffering at the same time. Then it gives me an ability that I am thinking something wrong. That's why it is happening to me. So I have to correct that thing.
Beautiful. And that is where we recognize the false I. And the moment you recognize the false I, I've already defined that false I in 4 different ways. Pick up one. Is this thought constantly changing? Today it is there, tomorrow it is not there. I have not to pay attention. I should not get carried away by that. Or any one of these 4. Beautiful. That's a beautiful understanding. And you are right. It is all about ego. How are you, Ashok?
Namaste.
Namaste, sir.
Today I'm actually traveling, so I listen entire episode, entire lesson, and understand the beauty of this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, that's good. Yeah,
Very good. Yes,
thank you.
you are also committed that I see that. So pay attention, listen to it again and understand and see. I explained, in a very simple way, the lane number 1, 2, 3, they will continue to coexist in the mind. They will continue to coexist in the mind. I gave you the last example. If you see the real tiger, the fear is natural. The instinctual response is natural. But you are in the lane number 3. I will deal with you. No problem. I'll deal with you. Lane number 3. In every situation, whether it's a tiger, whether it's a deer, physical problem, mental problem, emotional challenges, relationship, or any issue, you deal with it. You are dealing with a transactional reality that does not change the nail number 3. It remains as it is. That is what is known as awakening. That is all for today, my friends. Thank you very much for joining.